The man who survived a pit bull attack.
A pit bull. By two pit bulls.
By Pitbull.
Pitbulls. Pitbull.
The Pitbull Terrier is without question the most controversial and polarizing dog breed ever. Accounting for over 65% of the deadly dog bites in America, pit bulls have rightly earned a reputation as dangerous and aggressive dogs. But is it really because all pit bulls are bad and violent dogs? I mean, there are plenty of good pit bulls that live their entire lives without ever hurting a single fly. So why is this the case? Well, the hard controversial truth is that not everyone should be allowed to own a pit bull. Most people can't handle, are responsible enough, or even capable of properly raising a pit bull. They aren't easy dogs that you can just casually own without putting a ton of work, dedication, and attention. But if you can, you're going to own one of the most loyal and sweetest dogs in the world. So with that said, here are critical mistakes that most owners make with their pit bulls. Ignoring these can potentially lead to terrible consequences. Number 1, you need to be able to physically control your pit bull. Look, these terriers are powerful, large dogs. Letting your 13-year-old daughter take your pit bull out for a walk around the neighborhood is never a good idea. If you can't control your dog, you're putting everyone, including your pit bull, at risk. Here's a viral clip of a cat just lounging in his family's driveway. At the very start of the video, you can already tell the owner can't seem to control her two pit bulls. As soon as the dog spotted the cat, well, instincts took over and they sprinted for it. And the owner? Unsurprisingly, she got dragged to the floor. Now this gets a little graphic, so I'll pause it here. If you want to see the whole clip, I'll leave a link in the description. But I must warn you, it's a bit disturbing. Situations like these happen all the time. If your dog is suddenly triggered by something during a walk, it's up to you to physically prevent any dangerous situations from happening. And if you can't physically control them in such an event, then you shouldn't be walking around with your pit bull. Number 2, you must understand that it's possible for these dogs to snap at any time.
You can look in the police reports, it'll say the dogs were in good health, good condition. From all accounts of the neighbors, they were raised really good. They're friendly with other dogs, played with other kids before. They were good-natured dogs until the day they weren't.
If you've raised your pit bull since puppyhood and you've experienced nothing but a sweet, kind, and gentle dog, it's easy to let your guard down. But you need to know that no matter how well you think you know your dog, it's still possible for something ordinary to cause them to snap, especially once they've reached maturity. In fact, so many owners involved in a fatal attack reported that they've never seen a single aggressive tendency in their dog prior to the attack. It just happened out of nowhere. After all, these dogs were bred for blood sports in the past, so it's possible that aggressive tendencies still linger deep within their DNA. You'll always need to be cautious when your dog is interacting with other animals or people. Never let your guard down and always remain cautious. I've seen so many pit bull owners that just let their dog run freely at dog parks while not paying a single bit of attention to their dog. This just isn't responsible. Number 3, never buy a pit bull from a backyard breeder. Have you ever seen those ads for cheap pit bulls on Craigslist? Chances are they're from backyard breeders, and you never want to purchase from one of them. To put things into perspective, these breeders have added hundreds of thousands of pit bulls to the U.S. dog population in a couple short years. Pit bulls make up just 6% of the dogs in America, but around 50% of all dogs in the shelter. A third of them end up euthanized every single year. Supporting backyard breeders is actually cruel to the breed, and most of the dogs that come from these backyard breeders are unethically bred, meaning they have a higher chance of developing sudden aggression. Instead, you can check out AKC's Breeder of Merit program, where they recognize responsible breeders in the country. If you love your family, your community, heck, if you love pit bulls, avoid these unprofessional breeders. Number 4, plenty of socialization from very early on is required. Socializing has never been more important for any other breed. Most pit bulls that aggressively attack other pets and people were never or rarely socialized as a pup. So why is socialization training so important? Socializing your pit bull ensures they can react to the world in a healthy way, without any fear, anxiety, or aggression. This allows your dog to learn that not everything is a threat, in addition to how to properly behave around others. And the best time to do this is between 3 to 12 weeks old. During this time, you'll want your pit bull to meet as many other dogs, cats, children, and adults as possible. Let them socialize for a few hours every single day during this period. Consistency is key when socializing a pit bull, and the more time they're able to socialize with, the less likely they'll suddenly snap on an unsuspecting person or dog in the future. Number 5. Obedience training is not a suggestion, it's a must. When you own such a powerful dog with the potential to do a lot of damage, having more control over them makes a lot of sense. And obedience training is one surefire way to have better control. At the very least, you'll need to nail down the basics of obedience with your dog. If your pit bull doesn't understand commands such as down, stay, or come here, how do you even expect to communicate with them when they're starting to get out of hand? These commands let them understand what behaviors you allow and don't allow. Without them, they're pretty much wild dogs. With all the negative stories, headlines, and public perception about the breed, the best way to combat the stereotype is to own a well-behaved and responsive pit bull. That said, if you're too lazy to spend 20 minutes a day to hone in on their obedience training, I'm sorry to say, the pit bull shouldn't be for you. Number 6, don't be lazy with your pit bull. The worst type of pit bull owners are the lazy ones. Not just because they don't bother with obedience training and socialization, but because they don't properly exercise these dogs. I mean, they are terriers. And if you know terrier dogs, you know they're highly energetic and active. But what's the worst that can happen, right? When a dog has too much pent-up energy without a means to release it, destructive behaviors that subsequently follow can be dangerous, especially with pit bulls. More often than not, an underexercised dog may chew up your favorite pair of shoes, tear up your couch, dig up a few holes in your backyard, or even show aggression. Your pit bull is no exception. If you can spend 1 to 2 hours a day with high-intensive activities, then it should be enough to tire them out. A fully exercised pit bull has a much lower probability of showing sudden aggression. So what are the best ways to exercise a pit bull? The first is to probably use a flirt pull, which can be a great outlet for your dog. Just make sure that if your pit bull starts getting too amped, have him calm down before resuming again. Another fantastic activity is playing catch with tennis balls. Some pit bulls will run themselves into the ground and happily exhaust their boundless energy. Number 7, supervision is always needed with young kids. It doesn't matter how sweet your pit bull has been with your small child in the past, parental supervision is always required. The scary reality is that pit bulls are number 1 for dog bite fatalities of the little ones. In fact, they account for over half of the maulings. The thing is, the blame shouldn't fall entirely on the dog. Parents need to understand that you're entrusting a large and strong wild animal with the safety of your child. Plus, you also have to trust that your child doesn't do anything to trigger the dog. And it's not just with pit bulls. I don't suggest leaving any large and energetic dog with a small kid. This is how some of the most devastating accidents happen. Number 8, secured enclosure is very important for these dogs. And when I say secure, I mean really secure. Don't just tie them on a leash in the backyard like we've seen with so many irresponsible owners. If a leash and a flimsy wire fence is the only thing stopping your pit bull from escaping, you can bet they will eventually. And when they do get out, they can potentially wreak havoc, leading to some seriously dangerous situations. You'll also need to keep in mind that many pit bulls have a high prey drive. If they can hear or see a squirrel, child, or neighboring pet through your fence, some pit bulls will kick it up a notch with their attempt to escape. They may claw or chew through wooden fences, or even scale and climb over the fence to get after them. Some owners even report that their pit bulls jump 6-foot fences or straight up run through glass windows or screen doors. Pit bulls are insanely athletic, so nothing is really out of the question. The most important thing is to try your best to keep them secured, while also paying attention to your dog at all times. Number 9, you need to really understand the breed. RallyLink, an animal activist with a lot of experience interacting with pit bulls, explains this best.
The thing is, I don't think anybody is responsible enough to own a pit bull unless you go through the proper training and understanding of these animals in this breed, the same as you would if you were going to get a license to own and care for a wild animal. I don't think the average person is capable of handling a situation like that. I don't think the average person is capable of managing a wild animal without the proper training and knowledge and understanding. So do I think the average person should own a pit bull? No.
Pit bulls are unlike any other dog breed. If you want to successfully own and raise a sweet, gentle, and well-behaved pit bull, you really need to understand these dogs. Take some time to dive into the breed and its history. Read forums to learn the behaviors and situations of other pit bull owners. Try to understand the common behaviors and body languages of these dogs. And of course, spend as much time as you can with your dog because not every pit bull will be the same. Learn their specific needs, triggers, and tendencies. By doing this, you have the best shot at properly raising a good dog. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, you'll probably like this video on pit bulls. And if you hit the subscribe button, I'll donate a meal to a rescue dog on your behalf.